What's up everybody, it's the Legend of W and welcome to this Kingdom Hearts discussion that I have wanted to do for some time now. After completing Melody of Memory and checking out several theories online, I feel that it's the right time to talk about what's in store for the future of Kingdom Hearts. Now before I begin, this is all just for fun and I do not claim to know everything when it comes to the world of Kingdom Hearts and beyond. So, let's go! After going through Kingdom Hearts, I think it's clear that some of the members of the organization, besides Xigbar as we know, is Luxur, will be back in the future in some way. Who caught my attention besides Yozura and the Master of Masters, who I will get to in a few minutes, is Luxur. In Kingdom Hearts 3, Luxur gave Sora a wild card that could turn the tables. What exactly is this wild card? Will it play a huge role in the next game? We didn't see Sora use it at all in Remind, so I believe this is meant for the next arc. In the beginning of Remind, Luxur had a conversation with Luxur. It was obvious that Luxur knows a lot more than what he shows, which kind of explains Luxur questioning Luxur's true identity. Could it be that that was Luxur driving that familiar car with Yozura in the back? A nearly identical copy of a specific scene in a Final Fantasy Versus 13 trailer. More on that later. Young Xehanort seems to know a lot about the consequences to Sora's actions, which makes sense as we've seen him interact with the Master of Masters in Remind. I'm not sure if there will be any more time-traveling Xehanorts in the next game, but in Melody of Memory, Kairi remembered that Terra Xehanort captured her and clearly told her that there is another side besides darkness and light. From what I know so far, unreality, fiction. I think Xehanort won't be completely out of the story just yet. In fact, whichever form, I think he will play a huge role, but briefly, as I believe the focus for the next game will be Yozura and the Master of Masters. Stay tuned for more incoming flashbacks in the future. That interesting trailer before entering the toy box world in Kingdom Hearts 3 seemed like it was trying to tell us something. That another world exists. But in the end, it was just a video game. But Remind showed that wasn't the case, and Melody of Memory reconfirmed it. The figure that Sora saw in the night version of the final world was indeed Yozura, but was that really Yozura? I know some of you may be thinking that Yozura is Noctis, and I can't say you're wrong because we are guessing at this point. And while the endings of the secret episode in Remind suggest that this is likely, and he does resemble Noctis a bit, even though he also sort of looks a little like Riku, but not really. But I believe it's none of the above. The Yozura we saw in Remind may be just a vision. Data, a spirit, or a robot for all I know. He kinda sounds a little robotic when he spoke with Sora in the beginning. What drove my attention was this part he said. How'd you recognize me as Yozura? As Yozura? Why would he say it like that? It doesn't sound natural when you're referring to yourself, which I think makes more sense to say, how'd you recognize me? Is this proof enough? No. But I think this could indicate that Yozura is not his real name. He did mention that his current appearance isn't really how he looks like. May also hint that this is not the real Yozura. Maybe Yozura doesn't exist and it's all an illusion? I don't know. Take Luxur for example. The fortune tellers had some doubt that that is Luxur, since he looks different. Then he said, yeah, but some time ago, I had to cast my old form away. Been through plenty more semblances since, but it's still me underneath it all. Xigbar, by the way, is still a mysterious guy, as surprising as it was to know that he is Luxur. But I kind of wonder if this is in fact true. We never got a single hint to Luxur's identity in back cover Chi. So I wonder. Going back to Yozura, there is one thing that's clear in my mind. He is the first to connect us to the world of Versus. There is no way Nomura simply gave us a near copy of a scene in a Final Fantasy Versus 13 trailer, swapped with Yozura, and have me believe that's it. No. Is Yozura Noctis? No. Why would Yozura still look the same after waking up? Why would the driver call Yozura Commander instead of Prince? They are not synonyms. All I know so far is that this Yozura is from the world of Verum Rex, which means true king in Latin, who accidentally wandered into the fictional city version of Shibuya known as Quadratum, which means square in Latin. By the way, I don't think that's Luxur driving that car. Whoever that may be sounds a bit different in that scene when comparing to Luxur's usual self in the past Kingdom Hearts games. When I hear Axel or Lee, they both pretty much sound the same. However, I do believe that Luxur may be from the world of fiction, including Demyx. How? I don't know. But in my opinion, they are the most mysterious out of all of the organization members. I know some may be expecting their appearance in that mobile game Union Cross, but if they don't show up, then it's very likely that they are from the other side. The billion money question, the biggest mystery in all of Kingdom Hearts. He seems to show up when we least expect it. The one who seems to have started the chaos, but has a goal we don't know about. Who is the Master of Masters? I'm pretty sure Luxur and maybe even Xehanort know a bit more. From what I know so far, he is a lost master. As a kid, he witnessed the Keyblade War, a conflict between darkness and light. He created the Book of Prophecies. He is able to create Keyblades from the hearts of others. He has the ability to create new entities like the Chirithy Dream Eater, possibly the original owner of the no-name Keyblade, who he later gives to Luxur, and has the power to see into the future with his gazing eye. A very eccentric and unpredictable character who one moment is very serious and then in an instant is playful and silly. The Master of Masters also gives Luxur a black box. He is supposed to never open it. One thing I found very interesting is the mark that's on top of the black box, which says Chi Super. If we're counting that X as in Chi, I don't know. It seems that it comes from the word superbia, in Latin meaning pride, the original of the 7 deadly sins, and the most serious of all. The fortune tellers' names are based off of the 7 deadly sins as well. Ira, meaning wrath. Acedia, in Latin meaning sloth. I don't know if I'm saying this all correctly, by the way. Envy, invidia, in Latin meaning envy. Avaritia, in Latin meaning greed. Gula, meaning gluttony. And luxuria, in Latin meaning lust. That mark on the black box might hint us that whatever is inside may be someone or something that represents that deadly sin. Could it be the Master of Masters' heart? Maybe it's his dark soul. Could that mark be hinting us of the Master's name? It's a possibility, but I don't think so. But I do believe that the Master of Masters represents the first and deadliest sin that leads to all other sins. Superbia, as it seems he does put himself over others. In other words, he's selfish. Sometime before Birth by Sleep, the Master of Masters meets with young Xehanort and gives him a black coat, but tells him he'll ditch it later on in his lifetime. Another proof that the Master of Masters indeed has the ability to see into the future. A very interesting part of that conversation, the Master of Masters said, "The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear." It's unknown whether young Xehanort truly understood this, but what could this mean? I feel that the Master of Masters is hinting about the existence of unreality, fiction, or specifically, the world of Versus. The other side. As I said before, the Master of Masters is an unpredictable character. When young Xehanort wanted to know his name, he told him so, but we didn't hear it. Interestingly, light shines upon the moment the Master of Masters reveals his name. There is a possibility that the Master of Masters is light itself, but I'm not real convinced. It could just be to keep it a mystery for all I know. I wonder why young Xehanort looks surprised though. Does he happen to recognize who is under that hood? I think that it may be very likely. The question is, how? Going back to the secret ending in Kingdom Hearts 3, the Master of Masters stood on top of a building in Quadratum. He looks at the moon and makes a box shape with his hands. Could this possibly have anything to do with the black box? He then makes a heart shape with his hands. Clearly, this was to represent Kingdom Hearts. I think this may be a hint that Quadratum may be a very important place to the next crucial part to the ongoing story. In Remind, Yozura told Sora, "I accidentally wandered into this place," meaning Quadratum, "and went through some trials. Then I was told to save Sora." Whether this is true or not, I believe Yozura met the Master of Masters who set up those trials to test his strength. While Yozura may think it was simply fate that brought them together, I think it's clear that the Master of Masters has something to do with this. But for what purpose? That is part of what makes the Master of Masters so elusive. What truth does he want us to see with our eyes? Unfortunately, I don't think anyone knows besides Nomura and maybe some others at Square. One thing that really caught me off guard was this quote from both Yozura and Sora from the good and bad endings in the secret episode of Remind. "I've been having these weird thoughts lately, like, is any of this for real or not? None of this makes sense to me. How would this relate to the Master of Masters? I have no proof, but I think this also has to do with the Master of Masters in some way." First, the quote is a throwback to the original Kingdom Hearts game. The very first scene, Sora wakes up, very similar to Yozura. I feel that there is a possibility that both Sora and Yozura are the same person, with obvious different personalities. They are both from opposite universes, but share a similar name. Sora is Japanese for sky. Yozura is Japanese for night sky. They are two of Nomura's creations, but there's one more in Latin, who is also in sleep. The master of masters is Noctis Lucis Caelum. If I'm correct, his name means light of the night sky in Latin. By the way, not Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, but the original of Final Fantasy Versus 13. The figure that sleeps in the fantasy. It's hard to prove as we don't know much about the Noctis Nomura envisioned for Versus, since we found out that Nomura was suddenly out of the project and the position of director was assigned to Hajime Tabata, who I think made clear changes to the design to fit into one game, being Final Fantasy 15. A small example, I noticed Versus Noctis being a little more edgy than Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. Fools set the rules in this world. Just take a look around. It's undeniable. The secret endings to remind may be the first real big hint. The bad ending where Sora loses to Yozura shows that he gets crystallized. Pretty much the same as when Sarah got crystallized in Final Fantasy 13. It may not be the true ending, but why would we get two different endings based on a what-if situation to begin with? Versus was supposed to be part of the Fabula Nova Crystallis compilation, and Remind seems to have shown a hint of that as well. I believe Tetsuya Nomura is letting us all know, especially for the Versus fans out there, that his vision is still alive and he will somehow collide them together. While it seems that he's still focused on Kingdom Hearts, he may be working on not only just that, but Verum Rex with Yozura and the revival of Versus with Noctis, maybe entitled Final Fantasy Versus or Versus Final Fantasy. So in conclusion, I believe that Nomura is going to connect the three skies. How? I cannot wait to see it with my own eyes. Anyways, everybody, that is going to be it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said before, this is all just for fun, as I really enjoyed the story of Kingdom Hearts and I cannot wait to see what will happen next. There's so many mysteries and it drives my attention, and I want more. I just want more, but I'm gonna have to wait for a few more years. I mean, who knows when we'll get another Kingdom Hearts game, but we're just gonna have to wait for now. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments section below what you think. Just let me know what details I might have missed, because I know there might be some details that I definitely missed, and I could be wrong in certain things, but this is just my own conclusion based off of what I've seen online. So let me know in the comment section below. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, smash like, subscribe, and smash the bell button for more. If you would like to support me directly, just join down below or check out Patreon or Subscribestar for more. And I'll see you later in the next video. Peace.